Record cloud. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Yoga Sessions podcast and YouTube channel. I have Lucille Rock today with us. I'm really excited to have her on. She's a super mom of 12 kids and 5 grandkids. And we're here to talk about Clifton Strength and also about essential oils, how both tools are helping her in her business and in her life and manage it all with being a mom, an entrepreneur, and have a family and everything. So we're excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Oh gosh, thank you, Ken, so much. I'm so excited about this and so appreciative of the opportunity.
Thank you. So let's get started about what got you to this path of using the Clifton Strength and into essential oils.
Knowing my strengths now, I really love and appreciate that question, because my number 10 strength is connectedness. And that strength means that I believe everything happens for a reason. There are no accidents. Situations, people, and experiences come into my life for a specific reason. So to answer that question excites me because there was a series of events that led me to strengths. And the first one would have to be me always just having this natural curiosity and desire to always want to do things that were as natural as possible. You know, whether it was connecting with the body, with nutrition, spirituality, exercise, all things like that. It's just like working with, it's already there and just making it better. So that kind of led me to essential oils. So before I actually started using the essential oils, I had a curiosity. I was learning about them. I was intrigued. And so fast forward to all that, 2020 comes and there's the pandemic. My business was severely affected by that, where I pretty much lost 2/3 of my clientele. So I had to think of something. I just prayed. I said, all right, God, this is my situation. This is what's going on. Just help me. And a couple of weeks later, a person that I had known reached out to me about Doterra. So I checked into it and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. So with having had that introduction into Doterra, it led me to the Gallup Strengths Assessment Test, because we were all encouraged to take that assessment so that we get a better understanding of who we are, and our leaders can kind of help us and know which direction to support us in. So I took the assessment in 2020, didn't know what to do with it, kind of just left it aside. And later that year and into 2021, I heard about Eddie Villa. And he as well is with Doterra, and he took the assessment. And as he was learning about it, he just saw a whole nother level that Gallup wasn't teaching, and honestly was not interested in. So he took it upon himself, saying, okay, I got this wonderful, wonderful stuff that I need to teach other people. And he created his own community called the Unleash Your Strengths community. So that's how I came to strengths.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing how you got here. And just curious, what was your business before the pandemic? And my business was also affected. So
yeah. So I still have that business. I'm working. It's still it's house cleaning, and I was doing residential. And my clientele is more of the older, community. So they were just very scared. A lot of us were, not knowing what was everything. So they're just like, no, we're going to hold off. And, so literally I went from, working full time to, I was lucky I had, 5 or 6 customers left that said, no, keep coming. So, but again, I was very thankful and grateful for it, because that's what, brought me to Doterra.
That's awesome. And just disclosure, we're both with Doterra. And if you hear about this podcast from anybody, make sure you reach out to that person that introduced you to this podcast relating to Doterra. And so how's the assessment and the tools that you use in the Clifton Strength and the new add-on with Eddie Villa? How is that different versus the Gallup's version?
So from what I understand, Gallup, they concentrate mostly on your top 5. I mean, they do, you can get the full 34 assessment. Again, from my understanding, they more or less concentrate on the top 5. And then they take the domains into consideration just as, okay, these are your domains. Eddie, the way Eddie teaches is it that those domains tell us or make us aware. That's what this whole assessment is. It's just about awareness of who we are and how we operate. And with the first thing you want to take notice of is after you take your assessment is your domains. There you could have 1 domain, 2 domain, or even up to 3 domains. And the significance with those domains is they show you a desire that must be honored in everything that you do. So, and then once you have that domain, then you go right to your strengths and you start, and then you work with those.
So with the assessment, there's a time limit. I think you have a few seconds to answer it. And if you run out of time, how does that work? Like in terms of what if somebody's like a slow reader and they take time to decide and then they end up missing a question? How is that in terms of like the accuracy of the result and the actual person's real like results?
So there's a couple of things. One, if you, because there are people that need that extra time, they can't process the questions and the answers as quickly. They give you like 22 seconds per question. I believe there's over 100 questions, so it's about a half an hour or so, with each question about 22 seconds. And but if you feel that you're going to need more time than that, you can contact Gallup in advance and let them know, and then they could, I guess, arrange the time so it's in a more timely fashion for you. And then the other thing too is that there's a number of questions in there that even if you miss one question, a pattern is going to be established throughout that's why there's so many questions, so that a pattern could be established. So I don't believe, again, this is just my opinion, I don't believe in missing 1 or 2 questions or not answering it accurately. And again, the only answer is the right answer from you, as long as you're answering it the way it is and not the way you want it to be or wish it to be. That's the big mindset that you want to go into when you're taking the assessment. Just answer the question the best way you can for where you are now.
That makes sense. And speaking of where you are now, what if like something happens in your life or certain event that made you change the way you look at things, or the way you like would answer a question? So would your result change in a few years from now? You take
Yeah, that's a good question. So the answer is yes, depending on if you've been through maybe a certain kind of trauma and then you've worked on that trauma, and whether you've had assessment before, you may consider taking it again. And the other thing, we just went over this last night in a workshop, was if not taking that assessment over is causing you hesitation, like that is your block. You can't move because it's just in your head that I need to take this assessment again, then take it again.
Okay.
So the only thing I would encourage though is make sure you give yourself enough time to go over your strengths, read what the descriptions of those strengths are, and then give yourself time to see if they are indeed showing up in your everyday life and experiences. So
okay, in terms of like in your everyday life, could you give me some examples of how are you using it for your health, the results that you get for your test, your health, how you interact with family, friends, and business relationship? Sure. And everything?
Yeah. So and that's great, because there's I'm going to call it a slogan. Eddie says it a lot, and we love to repeat it, that working with your strengths only works 100% of the time, and that's the best you can do. So, and it is so true, because when you are living in your strengths, and you start seeing them show up for you, I tend to just kind of giggle. So as far as and when I'm exercising, okay? Sometimes when I'm going through, I have futuristic at number 3. So when I'm going through a workout, I'm like, it's killer. And I don't want to, I'm like, I'm just going to quit. My futuristic kicks in, and I'm envisioning my body in the future of what I want my body to look like and what my health. So that's how futuristic gets me, continuing with the extra. And that's just one example. I mean, I'm also a relationship builder. So doing it with others is very important to me and inspiring to me. I'm more apt to complete it if I'm doing it with others. Let's see. As far as relationships, it's awesome, because as I'm understanding myself, I'm starting to understand other people. So maybe areas where I would have been triggered before, I could stop and appreciate that person because they're just being the best version of themselves, so then I could recognize that and, okay, how can I benefit from your strengths, even though they're different from mine? And then I've gotten my husband to take it. I've gotten my older children to take it. So it's just really nice that we're learning about more in an intimate level of each other. So it just creates a stronger bond, As far as business, again, the same thing, whether you're working at the same level with people or you're training people, you all have the ability, like you and I, okay, if you and I we would look at our strengths. Okay, I'm good at this, you're good at that. So me as an individual, well, I have 10 strengths, you have 10. Maybe we have a couple that are the same, but okay, say we had 5 and 5 that were same. That would still, give us, when we start adding it together, it's just going to multiply our strengths. And then if our domains are different, because as a relationship, there's 4 domains. There's the relationship, there's the executing, the strategic thinker, and the influencer. And depending on those domains, your strengths are going to show up different with a different desire. So again, our strengths could be similar, but because of our domains, they're going to be different. So kind of maybe where if I don't have influencer, I'm relationship builder and strategic thinker. So my desire is to connect with the right people and to think, create, and or learn. Yours, I believe did you have executing in yours?
I don't remember. I just took it and I kind of left it alone, like what you did before.
So let's just say it was executing, even if we both have relationship builder, but executing. So executing, you're gonna want to see productivity. You're gonna want to make sure things are done right. So I don't have executing. I just want to make the connection and just be like, okay, hi, how you doing? You're gonna make the connection and make sure things start getting done and we're moving, So that's the benefit of knowing each other's strengths and working with them. So, and then at the same time, if we were helping each other build or lead, you would know you couldn't, as a relationship builder, I'm going to connect with people without an agenda. I just want to make that connection. So you wouldn't tell me, okay, you're going to sit there and you're going to make 20 calls and you're going to get that appointment. Like you have 30 minutes to do it. Well, I may get the appointment, but it's going to take me a lot longer than 30 minutes because I'm going to want to connect and we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to see how they're doing. And then in that conversation, yeah, you know what, this is what I'm doing, so that's the importance thing of it. So again, that's just the nice thing about knowing someone's strengths and working with them and then also appreciating their differences.
That's so true. And that way is more fulfilling for that person as well, knowing their strength, whether it's like this kind of brings awareness.
Yes, that's what it is. It's awareness that I am already enough. And I was just listening to an old workshop that Eddie was doing. And when you're living in your strengths, you're not sacrificing, I wrote it down, what he said, because I didn't want to miss this. So when you're working with your strengths, there's no more sacrificing joy for results or sacrificing results for joy.
I like that.
Isn't that, I mean, who does not want that?
Yeah.
Right? And
Totally.
who doesn't want to know that I'm enough and I can do this just by being me?
So
So
true.
yeah, I mean, to me that's just, that makes my heart sing.
Mhm.
It really does.
That's
And that's
great.
why
That's
I'm
a
so
great quote.
passionate on sharing,
Yeah.
it.
And you're really good at it. Like when we were going over my report, you really know what you're talking about. So if
Yeah.
anybody's interested in knowing, doing the test and have questions, come reach out to Cecilia.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, that is because of Eddie's an influencer. He's strategic and influencer. And his ability, his strength is to take information and break it down so it's easy to understand and easy to learn. So going through his coaching program and even just being part of the Unleash Your Strengths community, in the short few months that I have been involved, so I joined the program in March or February, actually, I believe we started. So in those few months, the amount of growth that I have experienced, and I could see my future. I know what I'm passionate about. I know what I want to accomplish, and I've got a pretty good idea of how I'm going to do that. If you had asked me anything, any of that before February or now, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. It would have been kind of, I think, I don't know, but no, I see it now and I'm just going with it. And it's just very exciting.
That's
Very
amazing.
exciting.
I can see the passion in your face and your voice. It's like, oh, so great.
Yeah.
I mean, I can hear it as well. That sounds
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So, working with the strengths, what about weaknesses? Like, I know there's up to like 30 different things. So the bottom, there could still be your strength. They're just less.
right. So
Right.
that's exactly, yep, that's very good. I'm glad you pointed that out. So yeah, so with the assessment, you get your 34, their themes or strengths, and they're in order of your highest energy. So anywhere from your number one strength, and some people can go as low as their 15th strength and still be considered high. So anywhere between your first and 15th strength, those are considered high energy strengths. From your 16th down to like your 25th ish, around there, those are what Eddie calls your like you could take them or leave them. They have no bearing one way or the other. And then when you get down to your 26th to your 34th, those are your lower energy strengths. So and when you're working, we call that your bottom. When you're working in your bottom strengths, that's where hesitation, procrastination comes, and you're becoming disconnected. So it's very good to be aware of those, because you want to look at them and be like, okay, so this is the goal that I'm trying to accomplish. Let's look at these bottom goals and where are these strengths in my top 10? So then say like you don't have communication low, or say you have maybe communication low. So you're going to look at communication. What I like doing is when you get your report, and you're reading over the descriptions of the report, you can look in there. Okay, I have this strength low. I'm going to read the description and then pick out the words in there. And then I'm going to take those words and then I'm going to go to my top 10 and look in those descriptions and say, oh my gosh, there it is. That's the strength that I can pull on when I am trying to, communicate or this or that. So, so it's very important. That's one of the first things that I like to do. There's 3 things that I like to do when I'm first working with someone. Is one, obviously, show them the assessment. We go through their top 10. Well, first of all, we pick out their, we learn what their domains are, because that's a very important place to start. Learning what your domains are, and then what are your strengths and how far do you go? Do you only go to, like, I go down to my 13th. My husband he stops pretty much at 10, and then we look at those. Then we look at your bottom, 5 to 7, see where you are in there. So those are the first 3 things that I like to do. And then we also form your proclamation statement, which is putting those desires in a proclamation. That's how you do everything, by honoring those desires. And then we also have a liberation statement, working with your bottom strengths. Like, I get to do this, and I don't have to. So again, we're looking at those bottom strengths. I don't have to, and picking out words from the descriptions, I don't have to like win everybody over. I don't have to, be the life of the party or the center of attention, so.
And what if people want to work on their lower ones to make them higher?
That's the whole reason why Clifton came up with this whole assessment. I believe it was 25 years ago or something that this assessment, he put this assessment together, because that was the belief that, okay, let's work on your weaknesses and you're going to make yourself better. But he was just like, that just does not make sense. Why do I want to waste time on strengths that I don't have, when the strengths I do have are going to get me where I want to go? So if you're going to realize, once you get your assessment, and if you have experienced procrastination and hesitation, and when you look at those bottom strengths and you realize, yes, that's what I have been doing all along. No wonder why there is so much tension, so much friction, so much hesitation. Like I'm dragging this lead ball around with me. So that's what happens. So I guess my best answer to how to strengthen those bottom strengths is to find the top strengths that complement that and work on that.
And even if you work with a team, you can even probably work with people that are good at those strengths that are on your bottom ones, that those people would have those as the top ones.
Definitely.
Right?
And that's exactly it. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you pointed it out. That's perfect. Yes, that's why it's great to have. So I have a ranger in my top 10, and I'm good at arranging people, resources, whatever it is, all the pieces. So so if we're trying to create a project, I'm going to know, oh my gosh, look, you're analytical. You are perfect for collecting data. You love that. That's a no-brainer for you. Ask me to do that, and I'm just going to be sitting there. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get what information do I, what? So so that is perfect. Yes, exactly it. So you could, and that's why a lot of corporations and HR, they use these assessments, because when they're putting together their workforce, this is the job or this is the position we need filled, and this is the person that we need good at. So as a whole, we're working together to accomplish this goal. And we want it to run as smooth and seamless as possible.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing all your tips and tricks. And in this, I'm learning every time. I'm learning more from you. This is great.
Well, I really do enjoy sharing it. So, yeah.
That's great. So how can people reach you?
So right now, the best way to reach me is either, I'm in the process now of setting up certain links and stuff for people, but right now, the best way to find me is either through my email or texting.
Okay, so let's just do email, and then I'll share your email in the description of the podcast when it's released, so that
I'm also on Facebook.
Okay,
so they can find me on Facebook.
And that's just your name?
Yep,
Lucille
it's Lucille Rock. Yep.
Okay.
It may be under essential oils. Do Lucille Rock essential oils, and it should come up.
All right. And you mentioned the book when we were just talking before the podcast. So could you share with us about the book and what is that all about?
Definitely. And I'm so glad that I found this. It's called Anchoring Your Strengths. And for me, this is a perfect marriage of how I can incorporate what I've learned with Eddie Villa and the Unleash Your Strengths community and the essential oils. So this is called Anchor Your Strength. It's by Melinda Brookhuizen. And what she did, because she's also with essential oils, and her husband actually worked, I don't know if he still does, but worked with Gallup. So she had a very close connection and understanding of the strengths. So what she did was, she took a strength and then she matched it with an essential oil. And it wasn't just, oh, this one, this one. No, she understood the constituents of that oil, what they were good for, and then matching them up to the description of a strength. So it's a very easy read book. I read it like in maybe two sittings. So now this is what I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to be matching people's strengths with an oil so that they can anchor that strength with the smell. Because as we all know, our scent is very powerful in forming connection to experiences. So that's what this is all about. So yeah, so this is something else I'm going to be adding on with my coaching program.
That's so great. I definitely got to get that book and then check it out. Thank you for the recommendation.
Sure.
Okay. And like if they want to work with you for coaching sessions or just learning more about the tools, they can definitely contact you and then reach out.
Yes. So there's a couple of things. We can either do like a 5-week, series, or we could just do one-on-ones. If anyone's interested in just something specific, I do coaching that way. I highly recommend, if you're really interested in investing in yourself and just learning to if you're already, happy with yourself and in love with yourself, there's always more to learn. Or if you know what, I want to get to know me better, and I want to know that I am good enough. So I certainly encourage you to reach out to me. I could, share the Unleash Your Strengths community with you. It's not that expensive at all. I mean, there's I believe it's a $25 monthly you could do. There's programs for like $250 for the year, or and then there's yearly and a mastery program, also. But and then also too, just to let you know that I'm going to be doing an event in October, on October 22nd in New York with Eddie, and it's all going to be about connection and relationships. So connecting with ourselves, connecting with our family members, connecting outside of the home, and it's all about learning our strengths and just building that connection with relationships.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you came on and share with us all these things.
Yes. Well, you know what, Pam, this is the power of networking.
Yeah,
that's how we met. So
exactly. Yeah.
So networking is key.
Yes, definitely. So networking is great, whether you can do it virtually or in person.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have that option, so it's awesome.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much.
All right, Pam. Thank you.